Okay, yeah. Session is started to be recorded. I welcome you from PM Training School. That is PMI, Premier Applied Training Partner. It's a global training school, but we are located in Auckland, New Zealand. Our headquarters is in Auckland CBD. We are going to talk today with some topics, starting with the introduction of each other. Then we will move towards an introduction to Agile mindset and Agile way of working. Then we will explore one of the method of Agile framework, or you can say Agile mindset, called Scrum. And then we will talk about one of the certification that is very much relevant with the Agile project management and waterfall methodology, called PMP certification. And then we will also discuss that if someone is interested in doing a certification, how can they do it? And at the end, we will conclude our session with a question answer session. So just to start with, the participants who joined our last session, they already know that I'm Faiz Rasool. I'm the one who is running PM Training School. My academic background is I did my PhD and master's from University of Auckland, and it was in engineering with the specialization in Internet of Things. Also, I did a qualification in adult education and training from SIT, that is Southern Institute of Technology. The people who are from New Zealand, they might well aware of SIT. I'm also a professional project manager, Agile certified practitioner, and professional in business analysis. All these certifications are PMI, are from PMI. PMI is a well-known standard setting body in project management, Agile, and business analysis. It is a US-based organization and was firstly established back in 1969. And initially, they used to set the standards for project management, practice guides for the project management. But later, they start offering their certifications, and their flagship certification is PMP, that is Project Management Professional, and they first start offering this certification back in 1986. There are around 213 different countries who got PMI chapters, and there are around more than 300 chapters in those countries. Few countries have got more than one chapter, so that's why in total there are 300 chapters. In New Zealand, we have a chapter called Project Management Institute New Zealand, based in Wellington. I'm their Auckland branch here, and I take care of Auckland branch events and activities. So this was a brief introduction of myself, just to get used with each other. Can I request you to introduce yourself? Maybe just tell about yourself, your current role in the industry, and what's your background in project management?
Start it off. My name is Jeffrey. I'm the business development manager and a PMP trainer at the Project Management Training School. My educational, sorry, feedback. My educational background, I just completed a Master's in Project Management degree with the University of Auckland. Prior to that, I acquired my bachelor's degree and associate's degree with Excelsior College, and that was with information technology and computer technology. And in the next few weeks or so, I'll be starting my PhD at the University of Auckland. And I also have over experience working on computers in the United States Navy.
Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey. Nice to meet you again.
Oh, you too.
Yes, Hamza, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Hamza, working as a market analyst at Livestock Improvement Corporation. I don't have any project management experience. I just want to learn what it is, and then we'll
Yes, surely,
add one more skill to myself. Yes.
Yeah. And where are you based, Hamza?
I'm based in Hamilton.
Okay, nice to meet you, Hamza.
Thanks.
Yes, Abdul.
Yeah, I'm Abdul, and now I am working in the quality assurance department of the Tiger, and I'm looking the poultry as well as some qualities, small projects, not big one, which is related around poultry and other things,
Yep.
as well as now I am in the Auckland, and I have no more experience about the project manager as well as the project circumstances. So it's my first training regarding about the management as well as the project management. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Abdul.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, Manoj.
Yes, I am electrical engineer, and right now I am working in the building and maintenance department, MIT, and as a maintenance engineer, and we are doing the few modification works for the updating the systems and the equipment, upgrade the equipment. So for that, I am also managing those projects as well. In previous experience, I worked in Abu Dhabi, UAE. Over there, I was working in a consultancy firm as well as in Pakistan. As well, I worked in the project department for the construction of the refinery and the petrochemical plants over there.
Nice to meet you, Manoj.
Same to you.
Yes. Junaid.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Junaid. I came from Saudi Arabia and recently arrived here in New Zealand. Um, by education, I'm a electronic engineer. I did my electronics engineering from Pakistan, and I did my master's from Sweden. My specialization is in instrumentation and control system engineering,
Yep.
and I'm in the industry from the past 14 years.
Cool.
I have a quite large uh, project management experience, and recently I have completed one project in Saudi Arabia. It was a grassroots project, and it's a green field. So we started from the feed, and then detail design and construction, commissioning, and then startup. Now, so my role was a project engineer for the electrical and instrument control systems packages. So now I'm here. I'm new in New Zealand. I'm looking for a job here, as well as I got this opportunity to have to attend this session. So I decided to have this session so that I can introduce myself and I can learn more about you guys. So this is my short intro. Okay.
Yeah, surely. And nice to meet you, Junaid, and best of luck in your search for the job.
Thank you.
Yes. Vinit.
Hi, Faiz. My name is Vineet, and I'm from basically Palmerston North. I'm a mechanical engineer with a postgraduate qualification in business management, working around engineering, manufacturing for the last 10 years, and been in the country for last 7 years. Most of my work is in composite manufacturing. In last 3 years, kind of production management along with purchasing.
Yep.
And also work as a project manager for Composite Association of New Zealand.
Cool. Yeah, nice to meet you, Vinit.
Same to you. And forget to mention, I'm planning to start a master's of in project management at Auckland University.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And I remember Jeffrey, you just completed your master's, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, just I met him this morning in LinkedIn. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. Sana.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm Sana Maksud from Hamilton, and I'm PMP certified project manager. Currently, I'm working with Bycato DHP for the last 9 years almost. But I started in I have transitioned in different roles there. So my specialization is in total quality management, but since I got that PMP, so then I thought to change my analyst experience to project manager. So currently I'm managing Ministry of Health project, which is a national project in 21 DHBs of New Zealand. So and having good expertise on that project using project management skills.
Oh, that's so awesome. And Carolina. Can you hear me, Carolina? Okay, so I hope Carolina will join us soon, and then we will get introduction with Carolina too. So let's move forward and let's talk about our Agile project management. Before moving further, I would just like to talk about PM Training School. It was founded back in 2015 in New Zealand. We are PMI Premier Authorized Training Partner who prepare the aspirants, especially the professional project manager in various certifications such as like PMP, ACP, so on and so forth. We have trained a lot of different professionals in technical skills of project management, business analysis, program management, also in soft skills, leadership skills, business knowledge, writing business cases, and also in Agile framework. We offer a variety of different solutions and products that help the professionals to achieve the flagship certifications that I just mentioned. Our main offerings include live streaming sessions. Live streaming sessions got popular amid this COVID pandemic. Before COVID, we used to run only face-to-face exam prep courses for the certifications. Also, for our aspirants, we offer 1 year free access to our learning portal and the exam simulator so that learners can get prepared for the certification and pass certification in first attempt. As I mentioned previously, we are a global school and we have PMI certified instructors in Australia, New Zealand, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, United States, and Canada. So this was just a brief introduction of the school, and we are just moving further by having a look at what certifications we offer. One of the main certifications that we offer is the Project Management Professional. And how many of you are PMP certified, by the way?
Sorry?
How many of you are PMP certified?
I am.
That's cool, Sana. And who else? Anyone else? Okay, PMP is like a flagship certification by PMI. Instead of me talking about more about PMP, would you like to comment on the certification, Sana? How was your experience and when you got the certification and yeah, how it was?
It was actually good experience because I was thinking for a long time since I completed my specialization in total quality management.
Yep.
Then when I came to New Zealand, then I started to look into that because I was having academic knowledge. So I was thinking just to do that one. So, but due to certain reasons, so I didn't manage to do when I came to New Zealand like 10 years or 11 years ago. So 4 years back, I just find out one of my good friend who was also thinking to do PMP. So we both just started to study that and trying to understand, okay, what PMP framework is. And then finally we attempted for the exam and luckily we passed in our first go.
That's cool. Yeah,
that helped me at my workplace too because of that PMP certification, they promoted me from business analyst role to project manager.
That's nice.
And I was given opportunity in a project which was a national project and was having different challenges. So in PMP framework, because it tells you the framework, but then with experience you learn a lot, and you come with the knowledge, like, okay, how you going to apply that skills. So yeah, so when I did my project, so I utilized that, but something like few points are not similar. When you read that and when you implement that, there are few changes as well.
True.
Mainly the change management process that you need
True.
to manage very carefully, like the
Yeah.
execution part.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
so far I'm very happy with that. But recently our organization, like I work in a health sector, is transitioning to agile framework.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm more interested in this session to understand, like,
True.
um, how agile framework is different, or is it part of that PMP? So yeah.
Yeah. By the way, now it's part of PMP since 2nd of January 2021. So the time when you did your PMP or I did my PMP, at that time, like focus was more on waterfall or traditional approach of for project management. But as you know that everybody is shifting toward agile. So PMP now encompass not only waterfall, but also agile way of working too. Now, the people who didn't do PMP and they are not well aware of PMI framework, but they really want to do a certification that is like well in demand, not only in New Zealand, but throughout the world, and you got some experience in project management, then PMP is one of the topmost choices for the project managers or people who are working on the projects. However, if you are from totally different domain, or you don't have any experience of project management, or you are new to the industry, then maybe you can go for this certification from PMI called CAPM. CAPM stands for Certified Associate in Project Management. It is a fundamental certification on project management. There are few people who did PMP and they practice traditional way of project management, just as like starting the project, planning for it, executing it, and then keep on monitoring, and then at the end, like closing it and shifting it towards the operation, so on and so forth. And they might like, and especially if their organizations are doing the organizational changes and shifting towards more like agile way of working, then PMI ACP, Agile Certified Practitioner. This is one of the certification you would love to do, because this certification is not only from one of the main body in certifications, that is PMI, but this certification will give you a very detailed idea how agile project management is done. We will have a quick look, basic look on agile way of working soon. But if you're looking for your next certification in the agile domain, then ACP could be a choice for you. However, if you are a project manager who is also doing some business analysis work, for example, you are also involved in gathering the requirements, analyzing the requirements, or keeping a track record of the requirements, or involved in writing the business cases, then PMI PBA, a very, very thorough certification, professional in business analysis. This certification will help you a good grip of business analysis work, business analysis approaches, the whole framework of business analysis by PMI. Not only it will tell you how to work in the traditional waterfall environment, but it will also tell that how can you participate as an agile team member while doing a business analysis work. For senior level, there is another certification, PGMP, that is Program Management Professional. At the moment, we are just skipping it and going to have a look on these two certifications. These are newly added certifications in the suite of PMI certifications. They are basically on Agile, especially on Disciplined Agile. Disciplined Agile is one of the method of Agile, and these certifications are for those people who are basically leading the Agile teams, or leading the Scrum teams as a Scrum Master. So first certification is Disciplined Agile Scrum Master. This is for those guys who don't have any experience but going to do some work in the Agile domain as a Scrum Master, not as an Agile practitioner, but the one who will run the whole show. And then there is DASSM. This is for those people who are working with the Scrum teams for at least 2 years. They can go for this certification called Discipline Agile Senior Scrum Master. And we offer all these certifications. In case if you have any need, you can contact me. Now, let's move further and talk about Agile project management and its some fundamental concepts. Now, before talking about Agile, if anyone of you has attended our last course,
No.
From us, and no.
No, I
Okay.
did not attend even.
No.
Okay, yeah.
No.
I was just asking, the reason behind is like in our last course, we covered the fundamentals of project management, both the waterfall or plan-driven approach, but also a very initial look at agile project management or adaptive or change-driven project management. Now, just to make our session more relevant, can anybody comment on waterfall approach, the traditional approach of managing projects, how we manage projects during traditional way of working?
So like you have a phases like project management phases like planning, requirement gathering, and then executing,
Yeah.
like development design, like ABC steps.
Yeah. So you do requirement gathering and then you do some planning and
Designing.
do some analysis and
Controlling and
design.
monitoring.
Yeah. We do analysis and design and then
Controlling and monitoring.
we keep on controlling
Then close out.
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
And
Do
close out. Close out.
And then close out too. Okay. Yeah. And so as we are talking about, like we keep on monitoring and controlling, and at the end we close out. And in fact, closing out may include from a transition from development to the operations as well. That is called hands off. Now, we were just talking about different phases of the project management. We said that we gather the requirements, and then by looking at the requirements, we do the planning. When we do the planning, we plan for what, Sana?
So we plan like how we're going to execute these requirements, and what will be milestones, and what will be the resources that we would be using, how much budget we have, and all the time frames and allocating resources accordingly.
Yeah, true. So
plus
basically,
we also develop plans. We also develop plans of the next phases, like how we're going to execute that, and the change management part, if we have change management part.
Yeah.
And then quality plan.
Yeah, quality plan, agreed. So once we gather our, finish gathering our requirements, or at least high level requirements, then according to the requirements, we do a thorough planning. We planning about the scope, what would be the deliverable, we planning about the schedule, how much money would be spent, what resources will be required, how to acquire those resources, how to manage those resources. We do a thorough plan for the quality. We look on the risks. We do the planning for the procurement, and we identify a variety of stakeholders so that we can engage them, etc., etc. It means we develop a thorough plan, and then for later phases, for example, for analysis and design phase, or execution phase, or change process phase, we follow our plan, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. So basically, we develop a very thorough plan, and then execution is done as per the plan. And then we keep on monitoring and controlling so that we should be doing the work as per our planning. We shouldn't be detract from our actual plan. We shouldn't be detract from our actual scope. We should be following our schedule. Our money expenditure should be similar what was initially promised. Our quality assurance activities are done accordingly, so on, so forth. This approach is called plan-driven approach, or you can say a predictive way of project management, and a common name is Waterfall. This type of project management approach works fantastically when our technology is pretty mature. We have a very clear idea about our scope, about our requirements, that's what we are going to do. And then we develop a plan. We have subject matter experts with us. We have a very clear picture of our future plans. We just develop the plan, we develop the schedule, and just follow that schedule. However, as this world is a VUCA world. VUCA means a world that is volatile, that is uncertain, that is complex and ambiguous. Our projects also become VUCA projects. For these type of complicated and complex projects, it's really difficult to do a thorough plan and just follow that plan, because what happens is like we really don't know that how requirements will change. Nowadays, requirements are changing very frequently from our stakeholders, from our clients, from our bosses, because the world has become very competitive. On the other side, where on one side requirements are very changing, very uncertain because of the nature of the projects. On the other side, technology is continuously evolving. Now, the current technologies, especially the disruptive technologies, for example, cloud, for example, AI, machine learning, or you can think of IoT, or for example, data analytics, so on and so forth. All these different technologies are very much changing. We really don't know that which technology is useful. One day you start a project, you choose one type of system, one type of technology or software. Next day you know that no, this is not going to work. We might need to change our technology. We might need to change we might need to implement our project using a different software, so on and so forth. When this is the situation, then our standard way of project management really doesn't work. For that sake, the method that is used is called Agile. And again, I'm not saying that our traditional approach of waterfall is not of any use anymore. In fact, it is very fantastic, and it is still in use in most of the industries, especially in the construction industry, in the oil sector, in the manufacturing, so on and so forth, because these industries are well matured. Here, the requirements are well established, technologies are pretty mature, they normally don't change very disruptively. So waterfall is fantastic for those. For example, if you are building a house, you really cannot implement Agile. Maybe you can implement a hybrid way of working, but not pure Agile. On the other side, waterfall is fantastic for building a house or building a bridge. However, when you have to do some research and development work, when you have to do some complex projects, for example, the projects related to software, the project related to disruptive technologies like based on AI or machine learning, where you really, or the whole world really didn't do any previous work, they really don't have any idea that how we are going to implement it or what will be happen in future, then in that case, we use a technique called Agile project management. Normally, the people who are associated with these industries, who are associated with the R&D, who are doctors, who are scientists, who are doing some research and development work, they normally use Agile way of working. We normally call these people as a knowledge workers. And when we say knowledge workers, or the work they do. We call it knowledge work. The characteristics or feature of this type of work is different from our traditional industrial work. For example, industrial work is normally more visible, more stable, more structured, with fewer decisions because everything is well defined, tasks are defined, processes are defined, standards are well defined, and focus is more on quantity and finding the right answers to complete the project on time. On the other side, the agile way of working is more counterintuitive, where work is invisible. We really don't know that how this work, this project will progress because of uncertain requirements and because of changing technologies. Structure is very less, and we have to talk more. We have to do interactions more because there will be more and more decisions that we need to make when requirements are changing and when technology is pretty disruptive. Our tasks are not well defined. We have to understand the tasks. We have to explore those tasks before making some decisions. And they require a lot of innovation, and the focus is on the quality. As compared to industrial work, the agile people or agile projects, their focus is more on the right questions than on the right answers, because asking right questions are even more important than finding the right answers. When you go in agile world, you always talk about empirical processes. Empirical processes are different than the defined processes that are used in traditional way of working or waterfall approach. Defined process, from name, you can see that they are step-by-step processes. On the other side, empirical processes are where you basically do the experiments and see that the experiment you did is appropriate or not. How many of you heard about Deming Cycle? Deming Cycle.
Yeah, heard that.
Yeah. So Deming Cycle is PDCA: plan, do, check, and act. So this is one of the empirical process. You do a quick planning, short planning, and then you do the work, and then you check if the experiment or the work you did is appropriate or not. If it is not appropriate, then you take the appropriate actions to improve it. So in other words, we really don't do step-by-step planning. We do short level plannings. Short level planning means that we plan only for short period and short amount of work. That could be only 1 to 4 weeks of work maximum. Okay. So we only, instead of planning for the whole year, we plan for 1 to 4 weeks. Okay. And then we do the work, we do the experiment, and then we check the work, we inspect the work. If work is good, it's fine. We move to next stage. Otherwise, we improve that work. So we keep on planning in an iterative fashion. And at the end of each iteration, we get some features, some deliverables completed. So we call it incremental delivery. Any questions still here? Did it make some sense, guys?
Yep.
Okay, guys. So we are moving further.
Can we use the dynamic theory in this agile process?
Yes, we can use. And we are going to have a very brief look on the dynamic way of working. And it is agile way of working. Agile mindset. Basically, since 1990s, the people from the software industries the top minds from the software industries, they start asking questions about our traditional way of project management. Because when they did a thorough plan, for example, for 6 months to develop a software, when plan is completed, suddenly technology is changed and they have to scrap the whole plan. So they start asking about question of this way of project management because it was not working for them. Similarly, technology was changing and client requirements were ever changing too. So it has become almost impossible for them to complete project on time. That's why the technology was not very fast back in 1980s or 70s as compared to today. Software software industry was not booming as it is booming today. So what they did is they sit down, they talked about it, and they basically went for a declaration. We call it Declaration of Interdependence. This Declaration of Interdependence is basically, you can say that, a foundation for our agile framework or agile mindset. And this DOI, it talks about that as a software project managers or as as a software developers, our focus should be more on ROI, return on investment. We must increase ROI for whom? For the client. Our results should be more reliable. We should not only expect uncertainty, but we should embrace this uncertainty or change. We can always expect one day client is saying one thing, next day they might ask for something else. Similarly, we should create an environment where there should be a creativity and innovation among the team members. And we should unleash these features from our team members. It will help to boost their performance and also effectiveness and reliability of the solution, the product we are building. So these are key points of DOI, Declaration of Interdependence. And it was the foundation for Agile Manifesto that was first published in 2002, if I am not wrong. People from USA and many other countries, they met with each other over holidays from software industry, and they talked about this manifesto and they established this manifesto. This manifesto talked about how we should do our software projects that should be more useful, more quick, according to the changing need of the customers. Here I'm just talking about the background of Agile. Remember, Agile was initially started by the software industry. So when they published their Agile Manifesto and Agile Principles, most of the terminology they used, they were linked with the software industry. But now most of the industries, either it's a healthcare or it is a procurement or it is a human resource or technology industry, they are shifting toward Agile and they are writing their own values of Agile. But initially, the 4 values that were the part of Agile Manifesto are given here. Can anybody help me to read the first value?
Yeah, sure. Individuals and intersections over processes and tools.
So the first point is software project managers, they decided, or the project leaders, they decided that their focus will be more on the individuals and interactions among them than focusing more on the processes and the tools. Because individuals and interactions between them help us to get the real value that is required. And then the second value was, Abdul?
Working software over comprehensive documentation.
No, that's the thing. it came from software industry, they wrote it working software. Basically, you can replace it with working solutions over comprehensive documentation. There is no doubt process and tools are comprehensive documentations. They have their own importance, but software project leaders, they said that no doubt these things are important, but our priorities will be here, not here. We will not be spending our most of the time on creating the comprehensive documents, but our focus would be more on the working solution, working product. And similarly, they said that we will focus on collaborating with the customers, then locking down the contracts, lock the scope in the contract, just get the agreement signed. No, focus will not be on the agreements, on the contracts, or the negotiating the contracts, because we waste a lot of time on contract negotiations or fixing the scope. Instead, we will focus more on collaborating with the customers. We will work with them so that we can see that what are their requirements, so that we can do accordingly. It means in Agile world, the contracts are different than our traditional contracts. Also, in Agile work, in Agile world, we work closely with the customers. It's not the case that, okay, once contract is signed, we are not going to talk with customers for next 1 year. And once solution is completed, when house is built, then we will call the customer and he will or she will go and check the outcome or the product. In fact, on daily basis, we will keep on working with the customers. And then there comes the last value of Agile Manifesto, responding to change over following a plan. Because plans really don't work. It really doesn't mean that the plan is a bad thing, or in Agile we don't do plan. We do more thorough planning than our waterfall, but only for short iteration, only for small period of time, so that we can execute and see that how our planning went. And also we said that we will be more open to the changes. If clients will be asking for changes after the start of a project, maybe after 3 months after starting a project, we will be fine. In fact, if changes are coming daily, we really don't have any issue about accepting those changes, responding to those changes, and we will keep on incorporating those changes from clients on ongoing basis. So these are 4 values of Agile Manifesto, 4 core values. Any question till here?
Yeah, I have.
Yes,
so
please.
is Agile like we more focusing on interactions and customer collaboration? So because usually customer, they actually never get satisfied.
Yeah.
Just keep changing your requirements. So then how this Agile framework will be more effective in to deal that kind of customer?
Yeah, so these are underlying values. These are foundational values. Soon we are going to look on the principles of Agile, and also we are going to look on one of the method of Agile, and there you will have like a micro level understanding that if requirements are changing on daily basis and customers are not getting satisfied and keep on changing his or her requirements, then what's the way to do it? So they develop many different methods that help us to implement the Agile mindset, or you can say Agile way of working, and those methods are fully aligned with these 4 values. So in other words, all these methods that we are going to study in upcoming slides are basically derived from these 4 values. we respond to the change. Not only we respond to the change, we embrace this change. We accept it. We say that it's fine because this is for the competitive advantage of our client. And we focus on customer collaboration. We want our clients to be successful instead of fixing our contract or fixing the scope of the work. Now, again, remember, initially it was started in software industry. It proved its worth. Now other industries are adopting it. You have seen that what happened in last 2 decades. In the software technology is one of the technology where there is most of the creativity and innovation has come as compared to any other industry. Now, based on those 4 core values, yes.
Yeah, see, I belong to the non-IT industry, and I'm just listening to your slides, whatever you are saying, and just seeing whatever you are showing on your slides. What I understood that this agile technology or method is only applicable for the IT industry, correct?
Agile way of working is now adopted by most of the industries. It's not the case. I mean, it was started from software industry, but
See, if yeah, in case like for you gave an example like in agile you don't need to have a face-to-face discussion with the client all the time, right?
No, we require in agile we require.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Because in the non-IT industry, like in project, yeah, you should have a regular meeting with the client and showing the schedule of all the level 1, 2, 3 schedule, different type of schedule on to the client, so that they will be aware that what is going on and what is the progress. So that's what actually my concern was. If it is useful for the construction industry, then it would be very beneficial for us. So yeah, so let me see what are the other slides you are showing. Then maybe I will have some more questions.
Yeah, surely. Now this is important. Where in traditional project management or waterfall, no doubt we work with the client. We show our plans, our phases to the client, but those interactions are maybe after 1 month, after 2 months or 3 months. However, Agile is totally different. In Agile, you work with the customer on daily basis. Maybe in Agile, in Lean world, you heard about the name voice of the customer. Voice of a customer is basically someone from the customer, from the client side. They come and work with you on daily basis. So in Agile world, the customer work with you on daily basis. Now, now let's move further and talk about 12 Agile principles. The first one is satisfy the customer. How customer will be satisfied? When they are getting value, return on investment. And if they are getting this value on continuous and early basis, then they will be more satisfied. For example, your customer asks you to develop a website for him. Instead of giving the whole detailed website, well-connected website, after 4 months, if you are going to give him the first version of the website in 2 weeks so that he or she can start using it, then he or she will be more happy as compared to getting the whole solution at the end. The reason is he or she is getting return on investment straight away. He or she is going to use the product straight away. So what we do, we focus more on customer satisfaction by providing early and continuous value or delivery of the features of the product to our customers. And then welcome change. This is second principle. We create an environment, we create a framework, we create a way of working where we welcome the changes. Our agile frameworks, for example, Scrum, it harness the change. If change comes, we are fine with it. We really don't have any issue because change normally comes from the client so that he or she should get the competitive advantage. That's why they change their requirements. And our focus is our client and the value he or she is getting. And then there comes deliver frequently. This principle talks about that in agile world or agile way of working, instead of giving the whole thorough 100% solution at the end of 1 year, we keep on giving different features of the product or solution on continuous and frequent basis. For example, after each 2 weeks, we are going to develop some features of a product that could be useful for the client. So we keep on delivering the value in a frequent manner. And then there comes work together. We just discussed about it. We believe that the customers and the development team, engineers, the business analysts, the architects, the quality assurance team, they should work together with the client or vice of a customer. Soon you are going to look how we are going to do it. And then there comes trust and support. This trust and support should be given to our teams so that our teams become more self-managed, self-directed, self-organized. Maybe this is a surprise for you that on agile projects, there is no project manager. And people who are from waterfall background, you already know that project manager is one of the pivot person in waterfall way of working. Project manager is the person who runs the whole show in waterfall. However, in Agile, there is not even a role called project manager because we show trust, we provide support to our teams so that they can become self-managed teams. And then there comes face-to-face conversation. We prefer that the team who is working on a project should be working in the same space, in the same place, in the same office, because we believe that face-to-face conversation, face-to-face communication is the richest medium of communication. No doubt, practically, it might not be possible, but this is our preference. Any question till these 6 principles? Working solution. Instead of software, I'm talking about solution because it should be equally applicable to all the industries. When we measure our progress, we don't measure progress that, okay, this work is completed 70%. No, this work is not completed in agile work. Agile world. In agile world, a work is completed when it is 100% developed, quality assured, and accepted by the client. Or in other words, a working solution for the client. And then there comes sustainable development. Sustainable development talk about that. We really don't want our teams one week they are completing 10 features and next week they are completing 1 features. We really don't want to pressurize our teams. We want a sustainable development because it results in better outcome. And then there comes continuous attention. So when we say continuous attention, it is talking about like instead of focusing more on the documentation or the processes or the tools, our focus should be more on the design. If it will be a good design, our focus will be on the good design, then outcomes will be more agile, more better. The next point is maintain simplicity. Maybe you heard about this terminology. This short word, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. What it says that in agile world, we really don't want to do a lot of work. In fact, our focus is more on maximizing the work not done. We want to do work in such a way that we should get the outcome, but we should do minimum work. And we can only do it when there will be excellent but simple design. So we try on maximizing the amount of work not done. And then there comes self-organizing teams. We believe that the best outcomes of any project comes from self-organizing teams. The teams who are good at organizing their work, managing their work, and before that, planning for their work. In other words, we really don't need the project managers who are giving the schedules, who are giving the tasks to the team so that team can do it. In fact, we prefer more on like individuals and interactions, and we want our team to sit together, look at the work and see that how can they complete it in a self-organized fashion, in a self-managed fashion. That was number 11, and then there comes number 12. That is reflect and adjust. This is basically talking about, if you remember PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act.
Yes.
This is basically this thing. Check and act session, where we complete our work, not the whole project, just 1 to 2 features in small iteration, okay? Small iteration of 2 to 4 weeks, for example, okay? At the end, not only we will show our work to our client, okay? But we will also sit down together and we will conduct a retrospective. Retrospective is just like a lesson learned meeting. And in retrospective, we think about 3 bits. How to improve the process of our previous 2 weeks, for example, how to improve the people, mean as a team, and how to improve the product, how to develop a better product. So we keep on reflecting and we keep on adjusting so that for next 2 to 4 weeks, we can improve ourselves. It is different than our standard waterfall, where lessons learned are written mostly at the end of a phase, that could be a 3-month phase, or at the end of a project, that could be even 2 years long project. And those lessons learned which are written much later are not very much helpful. So this was the principle number 12, and in total we talked about 12 agile principles. Any question?
No, so it is interesting to see like mainly the project manager roles are not as titled project managers. So interested to know more.
Yeah, surely. We are going to have a look on it soon. And one of the main reason is we want our teams as self-managed teams, self-organized teams. Now, this is agile. When we talk about agile, if you look around, you might find many different methods of doing agile. agile processes or agile way of working. Those methods are like, in fact, there are like more than 12 methods that are available to implement agile on a team level or even on a departmental level or on organization level. However, if you go from this side, learn one method, for example, Scrum, or for example, SAFe, or for example, Disciplined Agile, and start implementing it without completely understanding it or without accepting the mindset of agile, and that we call it being agile. In that case, it will not be very effective. The best way of best way of starting agile is accept the mindset, understand why we are doing, what are the values, what are the principles, why our method is aligned with these principles, and convince yourself by understanding the agile and its principles that this thing will be useful for us. So firstly, we need to be agile by understanding the values, by accepting the mindset, by understanding the values, by following the principles, and then using one of the agile method. So this is the right way of implementation of agile on the organization level. Agile triangle. Uh, the guys who got some background in project management or did PMP, they may well aware of this triangle, the the constraint triangle or iron triangle. How many of you know about it? Scope, schedule, cost. Yeah, or budget. Yeah. Sana, what do you think? What this triangle says?
So you have to manage the scope within the cost and within the budget.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, to say that your project is a successful project.
Yes.
In other words, these are the most important constraints: your work, your time, and your money. And that's why they are called iron triangle or triple constraints. And these three constraints are interlinked with each other. Mean, if your scope will be changed, your schedule and cost will be fully affected. Yeah, and another important thing is in Waterfall, you remember, we focus more on contract negotiation, okay, or scope fixing. Normally, our scope is fixed.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. However, to complete this scope, we may go over schedule, or we can complete before time, or we may complete on time. Mean our schedule can be variable, though we try to complete on time. Similarly, the cost, we always keep some reserves so that we can complete our scope or deliverables as per the requirements. This
Sir, kindly, sorry, I'm interrupting. Kindly do tell us how much would be the optimum or the best budget allocation regarding any project completion. As you have said that we keep some of the money as a plan B or as a backup plan to complete our projects. So in direct context, should be 80% of the budget be consumed in the first hand, or we need to be more feasible regarding the project budgeting?
Okay, so now that's the thing. That's basically when we say, when we do proper planning and estimation of the cost. The thing is, if we don't do, without thinking about any method, either waterfall or agile, we are now just talking about the basics, the plan for the budget and estimate of the cost. The thing is, if you will just keep money as a reserve, without doing the proper estimation, without doing the proper planning for the budget, it won't work. What happens when you do proper project management, you use variety of estimation techniques to estimate the cost. Once you estimate the cost, it basically gives you idea that, okay, how much cost will be spent, okay? We should do a proper estimation by using well-defined estimation techniques. Then we should look on the risks associated with the projects. And to overcome these risks, what would be the estimate of the money? Estimate of the actual work, estimate of the risk. They combine together to make your cost baseline. Normally, we call this estimate as a contingency reserve. The reserve I was talking about. Okay, the reserve to manage the risks. So, estimate of the cost related to the actual work plus estimate of the cost related to the risk, they make your baselines. Now, there is no fixed rule of 5%, 10%, or 20%. Totally depend on the nature of the project. Is it less risky, medium-sized risky, or it is very risky project? And then we have to do proper risk management before determining that how much reserve we need. If it is a very risky project and there are like maybe 200 or 300 risks on a project, then for each risk we estimate that how much cost will be required, how much money will be required to eliminate that risk. We combine that and then we call that, okay, this will be our reserve. In case, if because of any reason, our project cannot be completed, either of some scheduling risk, either because of some cost risks or any other type of risks, then it gives us contingency reserve. So we cannot say 10% or 20%. Yes. Did I make some sense, or do you need a bit more explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You did make some. So one more question regarding risk evaluation. We also need to make sure that we are actually monitoring that risk throughout the project.
Yes.
As a risk control technique.
True. Until we don't monitor the risk, we cannot see that when risk is coming. Soon or later in the project, so that we can mitigate the risks or we can eliminate the risks. Risk monitoring is throughout the project. Okay, now we were talking about in waterfall approach, especially this triangle. Our scope is fixed, whereas to complete this scope or this work, our time and cost may be changed as per the requirement. Though we prefer not to change, but it might change. However, in Agile world, this triangle becomes inverted. We have fixed budget, we have fixed time, but we have changing scope. This is something totally different. This mindset is different. This is more counterintuitive than our waterfall approach. We fix a budget of, for example, 1 million, and we fix a time of 1 year, and then we say that, okay, within 1 million and 1 year, let's see how much work we can do. And we try to eat our dessert first. Then we try to complete the high priority work first. And at the end, normally, if our budget is gone or time is gone, then we are left with low priority features or low priority deliverables of the project. So this is a concept of inverted triangles in Agile. Any question? Agile methodologies, at the moment, there could be more than 12, but actively there are 12 Agile methods that are in use. Remember, Agile itself is not a method, it is a mindset based on a manifesto with its core values and principles. However, to implement Agile, there are different methods available. For example, Scrum, XP, LPD, that is Lean Product Development. It is a part of Lean method. Kanban, FDD, that is Feature-Driven Development, and then DSTM, Dynamic System Development Methods. And we can use dynamic theory as a part of this method. And then a whole family of methods called crystal methods. However, Scrum is the most or widely used method. Around 69% of the organizations, they are using Scrum methods. There are reasons behind it. Rest of these methods, they are very technical and focus more on software development projects. However, Scrum is not like a more technical framework or a process like extreme programming, etc. It is more like a framework. Its focus is more on the framework. Its focus is more on the rules, on the roles, on the artifacts, than on the technical terminologies. For example, in extreme programming, we have one of the technique called pair programming. Okay, this pair programming is very much specific with the software industry. However, in Scrum, as we are going to discuss Scrum soon, you will see by yourself that Scrum is more like a overall framework that you can implement it in any industry, not only in the software industry. Similarly, Kanban is one of the methods that is now commonly used especially in the operations, or even when your project work is going on and you just want to make it more agile, then you can use the Kanban way of working. Any questions still here?
So Kanban and Lean, is it different?
Kanban, in fact, the Agile mindset was initially derived from Lean, PDCA. This PDCA is the basics of Lean. So Agile itself is derived from the lean manufacturing. In fact, Lean consists of two components. One is called lean manufacturing, and then other is called lean product development. This lean product development is basically Agile. And as Kanban is part of Agile, to implement Agile, so we really cannot say that it is not lean. It is lean. In fact, all the methods are derived from lean manufacturing or lean product development.
And there is a one term, Kaizen, that comes under Kanban.
Yeah, so Kaizen is basically nothing but small and continuous improvement. So it's a two Japanese words, Kaizen, that is basically, Kaizen, that basically talk about continuous improvement. You keep on improving on the team level, on the individual level, so that each day you should be better than yesterday.
Right.
Sir, I would like to know what's the difference between lean manufacturing and lean product development? Is it's more focused on product-based industries, or can be focused on service-based industries as well?
No, the lean manufacturing is like, it talks more about how to improve the manufacturing by reducing the wastes, by minimizing the wastes. There are 7 principles of of lean that help us to improve our manufacturing processes. That is more like operations. However, lean product development is more on developing the products. And again, when we say service-based industry, now projects could be related to the product, projects could be related to a service, it could be related to the process improvement or organizational change. So that's why a project outcome is always a solution. That could be a product, could be a service, could be a process improvement. So it is equally applicable where there are projects instead of ongoing operations.
So sorry, I'm interrupting here. So this lean in the service industry, like in hospital, we have had that implementation of that, like reducing waste in the processes and like the sorting out things like the 5S implementation.
Yeah.
Some methods of lean.
Yeah, that is about process improvement. So process review and improvement, but again, they are more like operations. And when we start this, we start as a project, we look on the processes itself and do various process analysis techniques and see that how can we minimize the wastes in those processes, minimize the steps in the processes, improve the efficiency of the process so that it should give a good outcome. And those processes could be related to operations. Can we move further?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Scrum. Scrum, as I just mentioned, is one of the methods of Agile. It is a lightweight, easy to understand model or method, whatever you call it. It includes different Agile practices, 3 important roles. We are going to talk about them. Different events. We normally call them ceremonies or Scrum ceremonies. Different artifacts that are produced as a result of Scrum process of doing project work and different rules. All these help us to implement the Agile while executing our project work. Scrum itself is based on 3 important pillars: transparency, inspection, adaptation. Transparency says that when team work, okay, their work should be visible. Everybody can see that what's going on. No doubt it requires courage, but it also helps us to find out the bottlenecks. Inspection. In Scrum, normally we run the iterations, or in Scrum world, we call them sprints. What is a sprint or iteration? Basically, instead of doing work for 3 months, 6 months and completing the whole project, we just pick up the top 1 to 2 features and complete them in 1 to 4 weeks. 1 to 4 weeks. But our preference is 1 week. Totally depend on the team itself. Team decides how long should be the iteration, how long should be the sprint. In Scrum, normally they fixed it to 2 weeks. Remember, when I gave a range here, I'm talking about Agile, okay? When I gave a fixed 2 weeks, I'm talking about Scrum. So in Scrum, sprint is of 2 weeks. In overall Agile, it could be 1 to 4 weeks. At the end of these 2 weeks of Scrum sprint, we inspect what we did. Okay, what happens? Customer comes, product owner comes, any other stakeholder come who are interested in the product, the development team that are engineers, that are architects, they are developers, they are quality assurance, they are business analysts, testers, anyone. They come and present their work to the stakeholders, to the client, to their big boss, to show that what they have done. If what they have done is appropriate or not, if it is acceptable or not. So this is called inspection. And then there comes adaptation. This is self-reflection. As you remember, I talked about lesson learned or retrospectives. So this is self-reflection. We look on our work and we see that how can we adopt and improve our work, our processes, and ourselves. So 3 important pillars of Scrum. Any questions till here? Now let's move further and have a look on Scrum process. This is a very famous diagram of Scrum. It is only showing the development stage, development phase. Okay, this is a point where we do the development. Okay, remember guys, in Scrum or Agile, we don't do thorough planning. We don't do at all. But what we do, we set a high level product or project vision, that's what we are going to do. We set a high level, what we call it, roadmap, that, okay, after 1 month or 2 months, how much money will be spent, how much work will be done. After 3 months, how much money will be spent, and how much work will be done, so on and so forth. But again, on a very high level, we don't define the activities in the start. We don't define the work in the start. We just say that, okay, this is our roadmap. These are our high level milestones. After that, what we do,
so sorry, I just want to know who defines that, like who set the roadmap, or who,
yes.
like, what are the roles?
Yeah, what are the roles? That's important. For this, the thing is like, when we talk about Scrum, normally Scrum is implemented on a team level. Okay, when I say on the team level, this is when we are executing the project. We are doing the development work. However, before this development work, many other things are already done. For example, business case are written, budgeting is defined, too many other things are done. So Scrum is a method that is just implementable when we are doing the development work of 1 to 2 weeks. Complete it, move on. However, many other work is done before that. Okay. Yeah. In fact, we divide this thing into 2 parts. One is visioning, other is engineering. Engineering can be implemented using Scrum, using XP, or any other agile method. However, visioning is normally done before that. And all the key stakeholders, that could be your project sponsor, could be client, or representative of the clients, or representative of the organization for which the project is being done, they set the project vision. They are the one who are involved in setting the roadmap. Again, team members can be part of it, like senior team members, senior developers, or architects, or business analysts, that could be involved there. But important thing to remember here is all the work that we do before starting the actual work is on high level. The planning is not done in detail. That's very important to understand. Now, what happens again, until you will not understand the roles of agile teams, you might have some confusions. Now, let me explain the roles. There are 3 roles. One is called development team. Development team is the one who develop the solution. I already gave you the example: the engineers, the plumber, the technicians, the architects, the quality assurance guys, the business analysts, the testers, whatever you name it. Maybe doctors who are part of team, could be HR members, people from the legal department. They are called development team. Okay. The second role is product owner. Product owner is normally called voice of the customer. Product owner normally comes from the organization that is your client organization or could be your own organization, but he or she is the one who represents the business people. He or she is the one who talk with all different departments or go back and talk with his or her team or her organization and bring the requirements. Okay. However, the product owner work with the development team on daily basis. Product owner is a part of team. Okay. So product owner, who is a representative of the client or the organization or the business, senior team members, the clients, the project sponsors, operation managers of other departments, they may all sit down and set the project vision. They may also involve in setting the product roadmap. And then there comes our third role, that is called Scrum Master or Agile Coach. He or she is the one who ensures that the whole process of Agile or whole process of Scrum is run smoothly. All the roles are properly defined, all the rules are properly followed, all the artifacts are being produced, all the ceremonies are being done, and teams are doing work in a proper way where there is no trust issues, no transparency issues, there is no impediments to the work, no one is disturbing the teams, etc., etc. That is the role of a Scrum Master or Agile Coach. This role is more like a project manager role, but he or she doesn't micromanage the project work. He or she doesn't define the activities. The development team itself defines the activities for the work. Now, once our high-level roadmap is set, then all the important key or vital stakeholders, they come together from different departments, the senior people or the senior team members, the product owner, they sit down. What they do is they divide the whole high-level work into different deliverables or features. So the whole project is divided into different features, feature 1 up to feature n. And then these features are further divided into user stories. How many of you know about user stories?
Is it similar to use cases?
Use cases and user stories both are similar. However, user stories are written in a simpler way as compared to use cases. Yeah. The people who don't know about user stories, you can think of this is just a way of writing the work that needs to be done. Okay. The work that is required in the project. So, important stakeholders, they come together, they write the user stories. For example, user story 1 to user story 200. Okay, they write, okay, this is the whole work, and they put all the user stories in this document, in this artifact called product backlog. Once they put all the user stories in the product backlog, they prioritize it. They write the most important user stories on top and less important user stories at the bottom. Once that work is done, then all other stakeholders, the key stakeholders, operation manager, etc. Now their role is temporarily finished. Team comes, they pick the top user stories, user story 1, user story 2, and bring it into iteration backlog that is subset of product backlog. We call it sprint backlog too. They bring top 2 user stories. For example, they look on the user stories. Based on the user stories, they write the tasks. Okay, to complete this user story, what tasks need to be done? Tasks related to the development, tasks related to the quality assurance, tasks related to the acceptance. And then they also write about who are the resources, human resources, physical resources, how much time is required, etc., etc. Okay, then as a team, they manage the whole user stories. They don't need the project manager to develop the plan or schedule for them. Then once tasks are well defined for user story 1 and 2, then actual work is started. This work could be 1 to 4 weeks long. In Scrum, it is 2 weeks long. They start doing work, and on daily basis in the morning, they meet together. Scrum Master or Agile coach help them to do this type of work. They meet together. We call it daily Scrum or daily meetup for 15 minutes only. The team member, they come together, they tell that what they did yesterday, what they are going to do today, and if there is any issue, they just share it. But the whole meeting doesn't go more than 15 minutes. Yeah, that's a rule of Scrum. Okay, if there is any problem, any discussion that needs to be done, that could be done later with a Scrum Master or senior developer, but not during daily Scrum, so that other people's time shouldn't be wasted. They keep on working for 2 weeks and they complete 2 user stories, or you can say 2 features of the product or solution. Once that is done, that remember, product owner, Scrum Master, and development team, they keep on working together during these 2 weeks. Once that work is done, they show the product to the key stakeholders, the stakeholders who has the authority to accept the features or user stories. He or she could be product owner, could be boss of product owner, could be any other person. Okay, they show the work. The other people, they can be also part of this meeting. For example, some operation managers to whom this work is related. They look at the work, and if they find this work is useful, they accept it, and they tell the team, okay, what next to be done. Now, once this inspection is done, we call it sprint review. This is another ceremony. Okay. Next step is self-reflection or sprint retrospective. Here, the team only, with the help of Scrum Master, they sit together. No product owner is part of it. No other stakeholder is part of it. And team talk about, okay, how they did last time. How to improve the process, how to improve themselves, how to improve the product, etc., etc. This is called sprint retrospective. This is done at the end of 2 weeks. Then we go back and look on the product backlog to pick next 2 important features and keep on doing it. This is the overall Scrum process, and at the end we keep on getting the key features of a product, then that could be later go into the operations. So this is a brief overlook of Scrum process. Any questions about this process?
So you mentioned each sprint will take 1 to 4 weeks time. Mm-hmm. Is it starting from writing user stories till we deliver that, or user stories are the separate time?
The thing is like teams is initially the high level product backlog is developed, some user stories are written. When team is developing the work, the product owner going and talk with the business people, operations, marketing teams, whoever requirements are there, he or she goes, talk with them and write the user stories. He or she is the one who take care of grooming or refining this backlog. Okay, he or she can always change the sequence, can always change the priority of the product backlog, can also add the user stories, can remove the user stories, can modify the user stories. This is a change. Okay, this is.
But if because the work is continuously start, so if the development team has picked the task from that backlog, and the Scrum Master is gonna change the priority, how is that gonna work?
No, not the Scrum Master, product owner. That's
Sorry.
number one.
Okay.
See, once top, for example, top 1 or 2 features are picked for that sprint or for that iteration, then there will be no change in that work for next 2 weeks. No, they will complete that work. Okay. However, for future iterations, for future sprint, for week 3 to 4 or week 5 to 6, if there is any change for team, there is no problem.
Okay. And that time is different, like a separate, like the user stories.
That is done by product owner, not by the development team. So product.
Yeah, that's a different time from this 2 to 4 weeks time frame.
No, so think like this. In 2 weeks time, when development team is working something, what product owner is doing? He or she is basically working on the product backlog.
Right. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, most. Any other question, guys? Let's move further. There are some questions. There is a question from Carolina that is like, when I talked about inverted triangle, she said that what would happen if money and time is finished and scope is still left? If it is left, it's left. High priority items are completed. Maybe only few low priority items are left. Okay, so here in Agile way of working, we fix time and the cost. We don't fix the scope. As scope is not fixed, we really cannot say that scope is left, because high priority scope is already done. I hope, Carolina, I'm able to answer. Now let's move further. There are a few more questions. I really couldn't look at it. I will look on them at the end of the session. In fact, I have already covered many concepts while discussing the previous picture, so I'm just skipping the slides. You already know about sprints. You already know about development team, product owner, and Scrum Master. You already know about backlog grooming or refinement, sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. If you have any question, just ask me. These are called Scrum Activities or Scrum events or ceremonies. These are 5 in total, 5 Scrum ceremonies. Scrum artifacts. Product increment, the actual artifact, the actual deliverables, product backlog, a single document, main single document where all the requirements are written in the form of user stories. And then sprint backlog, that is subset of product backlog, but more detailed. Talk about 2 weeks of deliverables, schedule, cost estimate, and everything. Agile leadership. We talked about individuals and interactions over process and tools. Means the people who are managing the whole Agile processes, like Agile coaches or Scrum Masters, they need to demonstrate better skills than project managers. That is leadership skills, so that people should be more motivated. they should be able to have the courage to show their work as a part of transparency. You remember that? Transparency is very important. Maybe you have seen in the offices big boards where teams are writing their work, what they are doing. Okay, and by doing that, not only they become more transparent, but also everybody can see their progress, and if there is any bottleneck, that could be removed. In Agile, the leadership model that is normally practiced is called servant leadership. Servant leadership is where you allow the team to lead from the front, but you keep on shielding the team from interruptions, from for unnecessary divergence, from
blockers.
yeah, and also you remove the impediments to the progress that are your blockers. And one important thing you do is you communicate and re-communicate the project vision, because most of the projects are failed because the project objectives are not aligned with the organization's objectives. Project is started for something, but it delivered something else. So it is very important that project vision should be communicated and re-communicated. And then there comes carry food and water, that is provide necessary resources to the team so that they can complete the work on time. So this is servant leadership. There are many different certifications you can do to learn more about Agile, like Certified Scrum Master, Professional Scrum Master. Normally people who want to be Scrum Master, they do this type of certifications. They are comparatively easy. And there comes PMI certifications. If you are part of Agile teams, then PMI ACP will give you a very clear idea about not only Agile mindset, but many different methods, including Scrum, XP, DSTM, and Crystal methods, and also Kanban. However, if you want to be a Scrum Master, then you can become Discipline Agile Scrum Master or Senior Scrum Master or even Discipline Agile Coach. The people who didn't do PMP and 2021 is started, they really don't need to do these certifications anymore, because PMP not only include waterfall now, but encapsulate hybrid and agile methods. And it means if you are going to get project management professional certification, you will also know about hybrid and agile methods. Also, there are some other certifications on Agile called SAFE, that is Scaled Agile Framework.
So what is that Scaled Agile Framework?
This is like when you need to implement Agile on the enterprise level.
Like in our hospital, like some of our staff are going through that. So,
yeah, SAFE. There are many certifications under it, like SAFE for Product Owner, SAFE Scrum Master, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And because we have already spent a lot of time on understanding Agile, so I would like to stop here. In case if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Yes, Tareen. Manoj or anyone else?
I think no more question from my side, and today induction is a good for everyone, I think. And thank you very much.
Yeah, most welcome. Okay, guys. Thank you very much, and be in touch. And if you want, you can connect me over LinkedIn or over WhatsApp, or you can follow PM Training School so that if you have like any questions, you can ask straight away.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Most welcome, guys. So we already did the recording. I will share once it will be downloaded.
Sure.
Okay, see you guys.
Yes, you. Good night.
Good night.